Taking action in Syria, UN Ambassador, Nikki Haley, warning the UN Council that the U.S. may take their own action in the wake of the deadly chemical attack.
The gas that fell out of the sky yesterday was more deadly, leaving men, women, the elderly, and children gasping for their very last breath. There are times in the life of states that we are compelled to take our own action. For the sake of the victims, I hope the rest of the Council is finally willing to do the same.
Here now is Walid Phares, Fox News national security and foreign affairs expert. Thanks for joining us. Walid, what's the proper response here?
Well, first of all, is to acknowledge that this was an attack, and the president said so during his press conference, and he also said many, many lines have been crossed, meaning the kind of response could be multiple. One of the considerations would be to repair what the previous administration has been damaging, which is doing nothing, and go forward. There is a Trump plan that is now being applied in Syria. So probably the response will be to go faster on the ground. And it's called basically defeating ISIS on the one hand, and also safe zones. These are the things that were not done by the previous administration, according to the current administration.
So you think safe zone rather than, I mean, because now Bashar al-Assad has put himself in the crosshairs through this action. And earlier in the week, of course, you had the White House saying that perhaps, it made sense to leave him in place for the time being. He responded, it seems, with this action right afterwards. You think that it's about safe zones and not about removing Assad?
Look, removing Assad is a much wider decision. That would mean actually moving into the Assad-controlled areas. There will be 5 cities doing a landing. That's a much bigger issue, which will have to be done, if anything, with the coalition. And of course, the Russians have to be taken into consideration. But actually, the attacks took place in areas where Assad is not present. So it would be very intelligent to start protecting these areas and protecting other areas where the Kurds are in the south. The Jordanians could also help. Their king is here along their borders. So if we want to be smart, you could basically contain Assad and make sure that he understands if he attacks these zones under our protection, then there could be retaliation against him.
Do you think this is an idea that they're considering?
I think the way we are now as the United States, I'm not talking about internal information, about what we see right now, is that we are advancing against ISIS. We are advancing at their capital, Raqqa, and in other areas. So those areas are critical to be basically kept by non-Assad forces. That is a response to Assad.
But did you hear the president today saying that, his mind had changed, that he's flexible, that what he saw was so outrageous that he feels differently today in the wake of what happened?
Look, rationally, President Trump has proposed safe zones just because of the conflict cannot end without going through safe zones. But now that he has seen the lethal utilization of these terrible weapons and the pictures and photos of children, and he repeated that 3 times, I think this could be a motivation to go faster in establishing some safe zones in some areas.
Interesting. We'll see, Walid. Thank you.